Well, first of all, I want to say what a pleasure it has been shooting here in Queensland, and thank you to everyone in Queensland for being so welcoming and making this such a wonderful
And the
experience.
nicest, everywhere we go,
Yeah.
we meet incredibly kind, generous, magnanimous
Yes.
people that, I mean, when a movie production, it's like, and everybody's been super accommodating and kind.
Except for a couple of people, and I think you know who you are. I don't know, we just thought it was fun. It was fun because, we get to be rotten to each other, which is funny.
And to be the age that we are.
Yeah.
And to have
Wait a minute.
a clever story written for us.
Older folk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not older folk, but like we don't have the same love issues that 20-somethings and 30-somethings have.
No.
So to have, really the whole story is about that George is still in love with me. He's never gotten over me. He never will. And I have a cute French boyfriend.
That's basically the story.
I think that's what's going to be on the poster.
That is the poster.
Yeah.
Just me behind there going like this.
What I found fun about playing out the scenes with George and Julia is just the family dynamic and like the comedic undertones of just like little like arguments and bickering and but also like the real like connection that she has with both her dad and her mom. I think it's really beautiful and special. I think Billy is just like the most perfect in every way. I think she is such a talented and funny person, and she was just immediately the best Ren there was. And I was also really looking forward to, because she and I are so close in real life, I was really looking forward to actually having a friend play my friend in the movie. So that was really fun. And we traveled out to Australia together, and we hung out like 24/7. We were so happy to be making the movie together. It was really a lot of fun. The Balinese culture is so important to this film, and I think it's really the core of the movie, and the Balinese traditions that Max, who plays G'day in the film, talks about and shares with Lily in the movie, I think is kind of like a really like one of many things that makes her fall in love with G'day. Is just the lifestyle and the way they live is so beautiful and standalone, and it's incredibly important to the film. The most rewarding part of it was, so many things, but I think we really created a family on set, and we were coming together in the middle of a pandemic and making something that was about family and love. And I think that making something like that feels really good. And I think it was all kind of, we all kind of felt that it was something that we're all looking for, and something that it's the kind of movie that we all want to see more of. And I think that when we were on set, we all kind of felt like we were on the same mission to make something really, really special. And I think that all the hard work we put into it was the most rewarding part of it all.
Ticket to Paradise is about me and my best friend, Lily. We graduate law school, and then we go on a wild trip to Bali, and Lily meets this stunning man played by Maxime Boutier, who we love so much, and she falls in love with him and decides to drop the whole law school thing and move to Bali and like do the whole love thing, which like good for her. And then her parents come, George and Julia, best parents in the world, come to try to break up the marriage. Because who wants their kid getting married and moving to Bali when they just got a law degree? Most parents probably wouldn't, but if my son wants to do that, that's fine. That was terrible. But yeah, and so George and Julia come and they try to break up the marriage, and then some other stuff happens that you guys are gonna have to wait to see the movie to find out about. Lily's parents are divorced, like many of our parents. and they absolutely hate each other. They do not want to do anything together. In the beginning of the movie, they have to come to graduation together, and they absolutely hate it so much, but it makes for a really good movie, so it's okay. And then the only reason they ever actually speak in a kind way is because they want to stop their daughter from marrying someone because they just want her to be a lawyer. What really stood out to me was where it was set. Bali is one of the most beautiful places in the world. I've never been, but I've seen a lot of pictures. And I've never seen a rom-com set in such a picturesque setting. And I was like, whoa, I get to go to Bali? This is not a bad job. But that's what stood apart, it made it different. And just like how snarky it is and how snarky George and Julia get to be with each other. I feel like rom-coms are usually pretty on the nose, but this has a lot of sarcasm and cynicism, and that's what makes it really funny. And that's my favorite tone of life. Lucas Bravo is the funniest man on the planet. I mean, he is absolutely him in so many of these scenes. I mean, you'll see, he is just brilliant and just so funny. I think we all had a really hard time a lot of the time. There's this one hospital scene where he started singing at the end and I had to like run out of the room because it's just impossible not to laugh around Lucas. To put it lightly, we have been going through a lot as a culture, as a society in the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't want to watch heavy stuff. I want to watch light, crispy, airy, fun, funny movies. And that's what this is. And you got to see it in a theater because the waves won't look as big on your little iPad or little iPhone. Don't do that. It's so gorgeous, these locations. It's like an ad or postcard for Australia. It's gonna make you wanna go. And it's not that long of a flight, you should go. This is actually turning into an ad for Australia. But that's why you have to go see it in a theater, because these beaches and the oceans and these people, you wanna see George and Julia on a big screen. They're big screen movie stars. Gotta see them.
When we pitched it to the studio, I said it should feel like the sequel to a movie that you'd never seen or that was never made. It should be a couple that we've already recognized as a couple. And so it was always George and Julia. And literally in the first draft, the two characters were called Julius and Georgia because it seemed naff to actually call them George and Julia, so we just flipped their names. And actually her name in the movie is still Georgia Cotton, which is a hangover from that. But yeah, that's the extent to which it was written for them. And then when we'd done it, I sent them both the thing, and you should never talk about the other actor in case you don't get the other actor. Do you know what I mean? But I wrote to each of them going, this is for you and the other one, because it was just very clear to me that it barely existed if it wasn't them. I had no plan B, basically, and thankfully they said yes. These are desperate times and ghastly times in so many ways. They were when I was writing it, they are now. And so anything you can do to lighten people's load. And also, for me, it was about going back to the cinema as well. No one was going to the cinema, obviously, and now they're starting to come back. And to do that, you can give them spectacle, you can be Top Gun, and that's amazing, and give them big thrills. But there's something about laughter in a large room, do you know what I mean, with lots of other people, that's just a tremendously satisfying thing to engage in and hopefully to create in my case. And so the thrill, at the first preview for this, the thrill of sitting with 500 people, listening to them all laugh together, and it had been a while since any of us had that or done that. And it's just a joyous thing, really happy. It's not just the pictures, it's got to feel right and feel authentic. And so it took a lot of research, a lot of thought, a lot of planning. And again, a lot of consultancy. We had a lot of people working with us, and we worked really closely with the Balinese, and we had Balinese members on our crew, or Indonesian crew. And and you just listen a lot, listen and respect. And in the end, everything's, drama is secondary to getting it right. You go, what would be really brilliant is if this happened, and if they went, yeah, but it doesn't, then you're like, okay, cool. Well, then what does? And we'll find a way to make that work. And so it's just respect, I think, and humility, hopefully. But it's been really nice showing it to Balinese and Indonesian people, and getting a thumbs up is, intensely satisfying, because to misrepresent would be desperately sad making. So we've been really lucky. These things authenticate themselves, again, like happiness on a set. If you're somewhere beautiful, it just lifts the spirit and lifts the soul, do you know what I mean? And so You try and, obviously there's a degree of, fakeness and cheating and whatever, and there's, film crews around you, but if you're somewhere gorgeous and lovely and living on an island and spending the evenings all having dinner together, if you go into the restaurant and almost everyone there is working with you and hopefully your friend, then what could be nicer? It's just like a, 6-week party, with work in between, obviously. There's a line from somewhere which is, the opposite to love isn't hate, it's indifference. And that's what George and Julia's characters, David and Georgia, that's what they never have. They're always at each other. Their energy of their dislike for each other obviously can then transmute comfortably. It's still passion. Do you know what I mean? And so, whereas when passion dies, then that's when you really don't love someone anymore. And so that was the fun stuff for them, is writing them, the energy and the playfulness. And in the end, they're the only two people that get each other. And much as Lucas's character may admire and adore Julia's character, in the end, she wants to be with someone that challenges her. You want to be with someone that makes you your best self. And clearly, George and Julia are their best selves around each other. And similarly, Caitlin and Max, anyone that turns you into the best version of yourself that you can be, glom onto that person and hang in there with them.
We wanted the film to have the classic tropes of a romantic comedy, of which we've made quite a few in our time, and I think that the critical thing there is to make sure that the various combinations of people who you want to fall in love with one another have good chemistry together. And so actually we knew that George and Julia did, and we knew that they would both be able to be antagonistic and funny and all of the rest of it between the two of them, because we'd seen it on screen before and we'd seen it in public before. That was less so with Caitlin and Max, and it was a very difficult process to make because we could never see them in a room together because of COVID. So we saw them together on Zooms and all the rest of it, and it felt like it was going to work, but until we were actually on the set, we didn't 100% know that it was going to work. But they're both very, very skilled actors, and Caitlin in particular is an absolutely brilliant young actress, and so it was a pretty safe bet that we would be able to make that work. These films, the collective laugh is a really lovely thing to be part of, that when you're in an audience and there's 200, 300, 400, 500 people all laughing at a gag together, that's a really beautiful collective thing, and it's something that we've missed over the last 2 or 3 years. It was very important to us that we got not only the Balinese characters absolutely right, but the Balinese background absolutely right, and the Balinese culture and rituals absolutely right. So we had cultural advisors both at the script level, but then more importantly on the ground in Australia. And in fact, the guy who plays Max's dad in the film, his name's escaping me right now, he was our cultural advisor as well, so that all of the rituals that you see in the film, and because within the movie, hey, not a spoiler to say there's a wedding, there were a lot of local rituals that needed to be absolutely precise in that, so that was really important.